My name is Andrew Kerr, and I'm the Associate Vice President of Workforce Development. And I'm going to talk to you today about the Workforce Development Division. Dr. Court Bailey gave us some nice shout-outs today during the presentation about the Workforce Development Division. As our new manager, Michelle DeVore, back there, take a bow, Michelle. As she mentioned when we were doing a strategy session a few weeks ago with the president, and we were talking about what is workforce development at the college and the workforce development division, and she says, no, we are all at the college, we are all workforce development, because the end goal of all of us is workforce development. So to that end, I want to talk to you today about what the actual division workforce development is and how we work across all the other divisions to make that a reality for our community. So to start off, you've heard Dr. Court Bailey mention our why statement. If you've ever watched the TED video of Simon Sinek or read the book, Start With Why, what is the core message of the organization? And our core message of the organization is we change lives. So no matter what else we may be doing at the college, if we're talking about change management today, the ADCAR preview, change is hard. But at the end of the day, if we all have a common mission, we can all go back and rely on We Change Lives as part of our collective mission to move forward. And I think that's really important. And we've taken that why statement with workforce development, and we've added our little tweak to it for our division. We change lives by providing the supports to ensure pathways of success for all members of the community. Now that's not to say that the mission of the college itself isn't to change lives for all members of the community. Obviously it is. I just 2 minutes earlier said that all of us are workforce development, so this is really all of our why statement. But for us in workforce development, that's something that we want to be able to see that. We want to see that on the wall. We want to be able to visualize that. We want to talk about that in meetings because the entire community includes people that aren't necessarily the traditional college student. It's the folks that aren't 18, 19 years old, or if they are 18, 19 years old, perhaps they're first generation college, perhaps they're generational poverty. In our apprenticeship program, we have the gamut of people starting ranged from 19 years old up into the late 40s. So that runs a whole gamut. So when we talk about our why, we want to look at everyone. And so here's this, if you're not familiar with this, is Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. We're starting from the inside out. This is where our core beliefs lie. So even within the very happy and productive workforce development division, sometimes we have conflict. Oh, that happens. Sometimes we have disagreements on how we need to proceed. That happens. At the end of the day, we can always fall back on our why statement to bring us back collectively so we all can proceed through on that common mission. So that's our why statement. How do we do things? We believe we're the entrepreneurial arm of the college. That actually sounds kind of braggy when I say it that way. I don't mean it that way. We're the entrepreneurial arm in the sense that the traditional model of the college brings in money via tuition. We are looking for outside sources. As Bruce mentioned today, or the vice president, formerly known as Bruce, mentioned today, we have changing economic situation right now. And so we can't just, we have a declining population of 18-year-olds. Over the last 10 years, there's fewer 18-year-olds now than what there were 10 years ago. So if we were to rely on our traditional model, that's not going to work. And so the entrepreneurial arm of the college, being workforce, we want to recruit across our traditional student base and our adult underserved community to create a college experience leading to credentialing, certificate through degree, and here's the important thing, to ensure a family-sustaining wage. And so what we are not going to ever do in workforce is train people up for minimum wage jobs. And we've had people ask us, hey, it would be really great if you could do some food service prep, whatever, fill in the blank, whatever. Well, if this doesn't lead to a family-sustaining wage, quite honestly, we're not interested in doing that. And so yes, we are the entrepreneurial arm of the college, but that doesn't mean that we're taking all comers. we are very selective on who we work with in the business community. Because it goes back to our why statement, we're here to change lives. We're not here to keep the status quo. When you look at the top several jobs in the Peoria area right now, if you look just at jobs, most of those are the rotating through minimum wage cycle type jobs, food service, retail, things like that. We're not interested in targeting those. We go deeper down onto the list until we can find those jobs with a family sustaining wage. We want to get people into a career.
All right, we're perfect. I had a point, though, before that. Oh, certificate through degree. We're not focused just on associate degrees. Now, we are focused on, we love students to get associate degrees. We want students to get a certificate through degree, something that's going to get them onto the pathway of a family sustaining wage. Not everyone is ready for a 2-year degree. How do we get them ready for that? We'll talk about some of those programs we have. We have everything running from a 4-week program to 2-year programs that actually changes people's lives. If you come to the Workforce Development Division, go over to the truck driving, over there at Dirksen, 4-week program can get you into a life-changing career as a truck driver. Making full-time benefits in many cases for the first time in many of our participants' lives after a 4-week course. That's life-changing. Now, it's a truck driver. I gave a similar presentation to Rotary a few weeks ago. Were you at that presentation?
I was not.
Oh, it was a great one because I didn't know I was giving a presentation, and I showed up like, oh, hey, ICC, give a presentation? Oh, thanks, okay. And I talked about this, and I mentioned truck driving, and one of the people said, well, hey, wait a minute. Truck driving may be obsolete in 10 years. We may have remote-controlled trucks by then, whatever. I'm like, okay, Star Wars, that's great. And point well taken, we may. I said, our point at Workforce is in addition to just giving truck driving training, we want to give essential skill training. We want to be able to help people understand what it is to be a lifelong learner. And so hopefully between now and 10 years, our truck drivers are being able to see those patterns and trends, and hey, we need to go back to ICC or fill in the blank wherever I am to get some reskilling and be able to have the tools to know how to do that. So I think that's really important. So as we're talking about just certificate through degree, sometimes people in higher education get a little turned off by the certificate part. We want people to continue. We want people to be able to skill up, to be able to get whatever they need to get that family sustaining wage. And that could be a 8 to 12 week welding program, or that could be a 2.5-year apprenticeship program in industrial maintenance. That's also a pathway onto manufacturing and engineering should they want to go that route in the future. So everything in between. And here's our what. We are 3 departments. College and Career Readiness. Dean Shaw was just in here and is out there now. Corporate and Community Education. Dean Hauer is sitting right over there waving to me. And Workforce Readiness and Sustainability, which is Michelle DeVore right there. So these 3 departments. And we have an intentional and relentless focus on student achievement, student success, and filling the area workforce gap. Dr. Bailey has mentioned this over and over. I mean, I've only been here like a year and 2 months or something like that. But I've heard every time she's addressed the college, every time she addresses groups in the community, there's a common theme. And you heard it again today. For an area to be economically viable, 60% of its jobs require some form of post-secondary credential. Our area has that same requirement, and we're at 40%. So, is that distressing? It could be. It could be very distressing unless there was a group dedicated with an intentional and relentless focus to fill that workforce gap. And that's not workforce development, that's Illinois Central College. We're a part of that process. And so our mission is to raise that 40 to 60, but with the help of everyone here at the college. Everything from academic programs to modified academic programs through certificates, whatever it is, to be able to fill that workforce gap. Because if we do not, businesses will leave. Businesses are leaving. We live in the second highest outward migration state in the country, in the highest outward migration area within the state. We're missing people. You cannot find people. We go out and talk to industry folks. They will literally tell us that, yes, we hired in 50 people, got them trained, and then they went down the street for 15 cents more an hour. That's not an exaggeration. And so we're working with them to say, hey, everybody, let's just put on the brakes, quit poaching. We have this huge population in the greater Peoria area of underskilled people, underemployed people that would love to have these opportunities. How about you help us grow your own workforce? And the response has been really, really good, because while it all sounds, when you talk about it, when they go and talk about it, it sounds really good. It sounds like they're being very benevolent. Yes, we're growing our own workforce. But at the end of the day, it makes a lot of financial sense for them. It makes great financial sense. The recruitment costs, the retention costs, the average cost when you go to replace an employee runs anywhere from 100 to 150% of their actual salary just in going through the motions to get somebody else to fill that position. And then when you're dealing in an area like ours with such a huge workforce gap right now, it's very, very hard. You cannot retain or cannot recruit people into the area fast enough. And so growing your own is what we at Workforce Development are working with the rest of the college on. So what does this look like? Some people have been confused when they thought, well, this Workforce Development Division has been here a year. They carved up some departments and they put college and career readiness, corporate and community education, and then this new department, readiness and sustainability. So first, the ones you know. College and career readiness, adult education's early college Perkins, and police training, which is just kind of housed there. It's not like our Nitri is out there kicking indoors or anything like that. Her primary focus is the early college programs, the adult education programs, getting those things, maintaining those things. I want to say the group has grown tremendously this last year. This fall, we're launching the D2 program, which is the dual college. So students will be attending Illinois Central College for both their high school and college credit, graduating out as seniors with their high school diploma and their associate degree, which is pretty cool. We have corporate and community education, commonly known around campus as PDI. We're doing some rebranding of that because it's really about the community education pieces and the corporate education pieces. And then there's that odd duck over here, and I wished I had made the graphic because I would have put them in the middle, because really it's about them working with college and career readiness on the credit side and about working with corporate and community education on the non-credit side. And so we have these two groups. We have readiness. And Jason Juckums, who is our new manager, can't be here today. His wife just had a baby last Thursday, so he was actually going to come. I'm like, dude, your wife just had a baby. It's okay. We got you covered. So Jason is in charge of these readiness programs. So Dr. Quirk-Bailey mentioned today the 163 people that applied for our industrial maintenance apprenticeship, 33 were qualified. What happened to all those other people? Well, at the time, we did not have the mechanisms in place to do a whole lot with those other people. We tried to refer them into places, whatever. Many of them, they all had a desire to get into a life-changing program. Many of them had most of the skills. Some of them just needed those tweaks. One of the things that Joe Bergman has mentioned several times during these types of meetings too, what's the single greatest indicator for success in college? If you look at one factor, anyone know? Not just high school GPA, did you take a math class your senior year? That's crazy. So we're dealing with people that want to change their lives, adults, maybe haven't taken a math class in 10, 15, 20 years. I told Joe, I said, Joe, I don't know that I could pass the math placement exam. I have a doctorate degree. I don't know that I could go in and remember all that stuff from that long ago. He says, oh yeah, you could. No, I don't think I could, Joe. But that's the problem. And so what we did was create this readiness programs with those bridging pieces to be able to get people skilled back up in math, skilled back up in English for the testing, get those essential skills. And so that's the Apprenticeship Ready program. So we have that program running. It's in the second cohort right now, very successful. Now, can you skill somebody up in 4 years of math in 8 weeks? No. Can I take people that have math and English comprehension abilities and skill them back up, be able to go back in and find that stuff? Yes. So I could go take the apprenticeship ready course. In 8 weeks, I could go in and I could pass the math placer now too. Yay. And along with these other adults that are in this class to be able to get in too. It's called apprenticeship ready, but it's not just apprenticeships. It's really a work ready program, whether they're going to go on to our apprenticeship associate degree path or whether they're going to go on to the certificates. We have the Bridge and Transition program. If you've heard that it was called the GED Bridge. And GED Bridge actually is also the name of one of our adult education programs. Same state funder, I don't know. So we've added the extra piece to it, GED Bridge to College. So these are students with GEDs, haven't made it into college yet, providing them those skills necessary to get their skills up to make sure that they're successful in school. What I find unconscionable, what our group finds unconscionable, is people that come to ICC and burn through their Pell and have nothing to show for it. We don't want to do that. So these two programs are excellent for that. And then there's some folks that just, you know what, I don't want to go to college for a degree, and that's fine too, because our IDOT program, Highway Construction, gets them skilled up to do any number of things. They can go to any number of the trade unions after this. They can go, carpentry, pipe fitters, whatever, and also highway construction, which is the name. Excellent family-sustaining wage careers, and finally our solar training program, which trains them up to be solar technicians. And they're ended up being able to pass that first level solar technician training, which is great too. And then the other piece, the Earn and Learn, which is Michelle, on the sustainability side, and that's on your handout, the first couple of things on there, the apprenticeships, the sponsorships, and then she and Julie share the workforce ready and the onboarding pieces of that. And I'll talk about those a little bit more. So I'll kind of go through this. I've talked about this a little bit. College and Career Readiness, Dean Arnitria Shaw. The most exciting thing right now with them is the very high numbers of early college students that we're getting higher before. I credit this to just a real dedication to getting out into the schools, and quarterly we have meetings with the superintendent so we can share information. We're working very hard with that PACE framework, and so Kerr and Paige are working very hard. Paige is one of our new employees. Say hello, Paige. She's in career services with Kerr. They're working very hard on the PACE framework, and if you were at Arnitra's session earlier, she talked about that, the career pathways. So really good stuff happening there, and we're really making some pretty good inroads into the high schools. We're also making some really good inroads into the high schools through college and career readiness into our CTE areas, which primarily in the past have been not just, but it's been healthcare, which is great. We're expanding that into the manufacturing arena, and then hopefully soon more into the IT arena too. But to that end, we are fully staffing out our Pekin facility with welders, because there's a lot of high schools that want to come into that. We're in the process of writing a grant right now. We're very hopeful for, and we're looking at getting a mobile welding lab so we can actually take it out to the schools, which is going to be great. And we can use it in the evenings at community centers, a lot of different things. But that's going to be driven, not the truck literally, but that process will be driven by Dean Arnitria Shaw. Dean Hauer, her program, she does all the community programs. College for Kids, running around campus this summer. That was awesome. We used to live overseas, and I would send my kids back every summer, and they would attend College for Kids here in the summer, so it was kind of neat. So it's neat to actually be working here, and College for Kids is actually one of the programs in the division I work, so that's pretty awesome. Also has our motorcycle safety program. So that's all of the fun things. You're actually going to be the whole campus is going to be getting a survey soon about what would be the top 5 things that you would want to do, that you would like to learn something that you don't have the skills for. And so like I was telling Julie, some bicycle maintenance would be great, because I was trying to work on my bike the other day and there's gears, and I'm like, you know what, it'd be really awesome to have a class in this. Hey Julie, it'd be really awesome to have a class in this. Those kind of things. So we're going to be getting a survey, it'd be fun, there's going to be prizes, yay. That's the community program. This is not the entrepreneurial arm of corporate and community education. This is the stuff that we need to do, arm of corporate and community education. Because we're a community college. We do outreach. That's the kind of stuff we do. And so that's wonderful. The entrepreneurial part, that's the corporate professional development, the group that has been known around as PDI. And we're getting a narrower focus. When I say we, Julie is getting narrower focus on that. She's really focused in on what are those real demand needs for industry out there, and how can ICC be a provider for that. Now, primarily we're looking at manufacturing right now because that's the greatest workforce gap area. But we're also looking at a lot of the healthcare certification work, leadership across the board for both executives, management, general, change management, all these different pieces. And she's looking at the data, getting with the companies and figuring all that stuff out. One of the really cool things that Julie's doing that we haven't done in the past, and this is on here under onboarding. Dr. Quirk-Bailey mentioned that earlier today. So the onboarding piece, these companies that have had to hire in all these people, they don't have, like, I'll give a welding company for an example. So this welding, we're talking to this welding company, and they told us about the couple of hundred people that they had hired and then lost over the course of the year. Didn't have any welding experience, and so although they had a record year for manufacturing, they were flatlined on profits. They were flatlined on profits because of all the time spent on the floor having to train up welders that had no idea how to weld, or had very little idea how to weld. Whereas Julie and I said, well, wouldn't that be nice if you sent those people to us? And we send them back to you as welders. I call it the Do Not Hurt Yourself Another program. We get them their basic OSHA certifications, get them some basic weld training, and we take care of that for them. And that helps with the workforce gap. And that's the different model from the credit side of the shop, because now we're looking at incumbent workers or new workers for some of these places. But these are some of the entrepreneurial ideas that the workforce team is trying to work through to be able to help. Because again, our end goal is closing that workforce gap. Because if we don't, businesses pull up and leave. Real estate taxes, you saw on the little red bar from Bruce today, was bad. It gets worse, worse, worse. We don't want to do it. We want to see it go this way. Because we all live here and this is our home. Workforce readiness and sustainability. This group does not have a dean, so lucky Michelle gets to report directly to me. She looks so happy. And we talked about some of this stuff, workforce readiness, earn and learn, the non-credit program side, getting people those skills to bridge into either a degree program or into a certificate program of some sort. One of the things I will mention across the board with all of this is everything involves essential skill work, formerly known as soft skills, which annoys me, and so I call it essential skills. And actually the state of Illinois does too, because we're mapping them to the State of Illinois Workforce Investment Act Essential Skill Framework. That's a process we're working on right now, and Jason's leading that charge. Actually, I'll click there you go. Jason's leading that charge on creating the common curriculum for essential skill development. This, I think, is one of the coolest projects I have worked on, and I've worked on some cool projects in my life, and this was one of the neatest, because the idea behind this essential skill project is everyone in the greater Peoria area is going to be invited to the table to bring their essential skill curriculum. The other institutions of higher education, Goodwill has something, Urban League has their own, some churches have, I mean, everybody has something. Everybody come to the room. Let's go through. Let's look at that essential skills framework of best practices, and let's map out the best essential skill curriculum we can, and then let's certify it. Let's give it away to everybody for free, and let's all use it. And now let's all the businesses that will know when someone goes through this training, they have you have a baseline of skills you can count on because you've gone through that essential skill training. Now, wouldn't it be cool if someone took that essential skill training and, say, micro-credentialed it into a stackable credential that we could use across the entire area? And Julie has volunteered for that. Yay! It's going to be her dissertation, actually, we're hoping. Voluntold dissertation. No, you can do whatever you want, but I think it's an awesome project. It is so exciting. This is because it's going to involve everybody. It's not ICC, and I'm used to this in past lives, especially in K-12, where the higher education has come down from on high and decreed that you shall now use this. We're not doing that. We're not saying use this. We're saying bring your stuff, let's work on this together, and together let's create something for our community, something you can take, and it'll have all of those essential skill pieces stackable into a recognized credential that we can certify here. So it's not going to be a worldwide credential, but it'll be something that at least we in the area can recognize, that businesses can say, yes, that's great. And we want people to be able to contextualize it. Because if I'm doing this work in rural parts of our service area versus urban parts of our service area, do we want the same exact verbiage? No, we don't want that. We want to be able to contextualize it, but we want the essential skill competencies to be the same. And so I think that's, tell them I'm a little excited about that. I kind of went on about that more than anything else. No, I am very excited about that. So what have we done here? New manager's been hired. Our apprenticeship ready program has been launched. We've consolidated all of these other programs. These two programs used to be under corporate and community education. This program used to be under diversity and community impact. And now they're all under one umbrella, and so we can have the same kind of essential skill work with each group. We can have the same kind of common curricular pieces to each group. It's making a lot of sense. We're really happy about that. Sustainability, manager Michelle DeVore, and she is working with all of the credit side of the shop. So all those apprenticeships, sponsorships, the partnerships, she's got a big lift as well. She's responsible for all this earn and learn programming that we're creating. Dr. Quirk-Bailey mentioned earn and learn again. And just if you're not familiar with that term, it's not an ICC term, it's a national term. The idea is a lot of our potential students, even if we gave them scholarships, could not afford to come to the institution. They have jobs, they have lives. So earn and learn provides them an opportunity to earn money while they're learning. Whether that's an apprenticeship that actually pays them to sit in the classroom and then go to an on-site job, or if it's a part-time job at a company and they pay for their tuition, and there's all kinds of things in between. But the idea is that they're not having to quit a job, and some of them are working 2 and 3 jobs to be able to come back to school and get these skills. So that's earn and learn. Oh, I even put Paige on there. How about that? Yay. So we have a new Peoria campus. We've done some things that shaken up the campus a little bit. We've moved the actual career services office to Peoria. That's not to say we are not servicing East Peoria anymore. We are, of course. It's just going to look different. With 2 career coordinators, we can't afford to have an 8 to 4:30 open lab anymore. We have to be strategic. We have all of these people in the community that need to be worked through career services. We have all of these people that need to be exited into jobs. Career services just got a huge, big lift, and so to help them with that, we're reducing the lab time. Now, that's not to say students can't still get appointments and things like that. Yes, they can. That does not to say that we're not going to have career fairs and things, resume writing fairs, things like that throughout the year. Of course, we are. But it's just going to look different. Part of that change piece that was talked about this morning. So we're really expanding them into earn and learn programming. And of course, we have our new manager, Michelle. So let's focus on some of the nitty-gritty stuff that we're doing. Focusing on that workforce gap. Again, we are not focusing on programs that do not lead to a family-sustaining wage. We've actually had some companies talk to us, like our truck driving program. They came to us, some truck driving companies came to us and said, hey, we'll pay the $4,736 to send the students through the program, and they get to sign a 2-year contract with us, but we'll pay for it all. And then you look at the contract, and it's for well below market wage. And so we're not selling our students into indentured servitude just to get through a program. We're very selective on that. And so there is a huge demand in the workforce. There's a huge workforce gap right now for truck drivers. And so we're working with companies that say, you know what? We'd love you to pay for those truck drivers to go through and then lock them into a year commitment with you. So you don't get them trained up and they go to 15 cents down an hour, more down the street. Lock them in and you have them for at least a year. As a matter of fact, you treated them pretty well, they'll probably stay with you. And we have data to show, I can't rattle off the top of my head, but there is data to show you have a higher retention rate that way. So anyway, so our workforce gap areas. You can see in the pictures here, our biggest workforce gap right now is manufacturing. We're trying to move away from 16-week semesters. This is not an ICC thing, this is a national trend. If you go to many of the other community college sites, many of the colleges are now offering 8, 12, and 16-week, actually some 4, 8. It's a variety of different things to be able to move students to the program. For at least our manufacturing groups, the 8-week seems to work really well. They come to us for 8 weeks, they go to the job for 8 weeks. In our IT program, it's 16-week. They come to us in the afternoon and go to the company in the morning, I think, or vice versa. I think, yeah, they go to CAT in the morning and then come to us in the afternoon. So it doesn't matter. Point is that when we move to 8-week blocks, we can do things a lot more efficiently, and we can also move into other things like industry certifications, competency-based things. We want to have every one of our program tied into industry certifications. So our CNC program, so Tim Polker, who's our new CNC instructor, great guy, he's been here a year. First thing he did when he looked at his curriculum is said, you know what, this is great, but we can actually stack into this 2-year degree program 13 NIMS credentials for CNC. So our students don't just graduate. Graduating with a degree is great. In the manufacturing, IT, and health career fields, that's not enough. Nobody really cares that you have an IT diploma. That's wonderful, you do. I shouldn't say don't care, especially I'm being videotaped. They care. They don't care as much as if you also have those industry certifications stacked to it. With the IT world, or the manufacturing world, you want to see those you know, I got an A in welding, means nothing to a manufacturer. I have my American Welding Society Level 1 certification that was independently tested. Oh, that means something. And who wants to go to a doctor that hasn't passed their boards? You know, they want those certifications exist for a reason. And we're trying to move all of our programs into that. So we're giving our students a leg up. Whether it's a certification program or the degree program, they should be graduating, if appropriate in their field, some sort of industry certification. And again, focusing on the workforce gap for us in workforce development is manufacturing, health, and IT. So if you're a humanities teacher, please don't get on my case for English certifications. I don't know those, but I do know these other ones. Other on here, driven by market data and employer partnerships. So we actually everyone has aware of the advisory groups, and those are great. Those come in. We do another step on that. We have industry summits. And so last year we had 3 summits. We had a manufacturing summit, we had an IT summit, and we had an automotive summit. So we listen to what they're saying. And so an interesting thing we look at both the market data, but also the employers. And so the manufacturing summit that happened before I arrived at Illinois Central College, it focused on 2 big high demand areas, industrial maintenance and CNC machining. There was actually a much higher need for CNC machinists, but it was because of the industry summit and listening to the employers, they said, yeah, we need more CNC machinists, but we also need people to fix the machines. So please do the industrial maintenance apprenticeship first. We can actually have the machines running to hire the CNC machine operators. And that's what we did. We want to have investments in high yield, high demand career areas. So we did a major CNC machining and welding facility upgrade last year. We're doing some pretty major lifts on the automotive area. We're actually building Brian a whole new building over in HVAC. I mean, my goodness, what more do you want, right? We're also completely revamping the Pekin facility. Yeah, you won't have to unplug a machine before you can plug another one in anymore. You'll actually have a lab, right? We're taking the Pekin Center and we're completely revitalizing that into our industrial readiness center. We're actually going to put a miniature CNC lab over there. There's 16 existing welding booths. We're going to fully staff those out. We're hoping to be using that from morning to night. High school students, traditional college students, onboarding programs, whatever, to be able to, again, closing this workforce gap is immediate. This is stuff that the industry was asking for a couple of years ago. And so while we're quick to respond, we're still quick to respond at the speed of an educational institution. We're trying to get faster. But we're very, very, very excited about that piece. And we're also investing a lot in faculty staff development and industry-related professional development. And so sending folks off to conferences, getting people training, getting people skilled up in these different areas so we can, especially like the competency-based pieces. We're going to be launching the competency-based welding soon. So taking the traditional 16-week welding, 11-hour credit welding certificate, and it'll be competency-based, so it'll be as good as whoever is welding can move through it 8 to 12 weeks. Hope is the hope on that. And it's all competency, so again, employers see that, and it's not, I didn't get an A in welding, that's great, I got an A in welding, but I also have all these competencies passed, and I've also earned the right to qualify for the testing now too, for the industry testing. So what did we do last year? Well, a new division was created a new department, workforce development, or workforce readiness sustainability. We created earn and learn programs. We've been trying to do a lot of outreach. You've probably seen some of us on the news or heard us or seen stuff around. We're trying to get the message out. Please help us with that messaging. We started the dual college program, 2 apprenticeship programs, industrial maintenance and secure software, and our apprenticeship ready program. What are we doing this next year? We're adding in competency-based certificates in welding and CNC. Now, Matt's sitting here going, we don't have an apprenticeship in GMA-SEP yet. No, we're hoping to, though. So we're trying to move that in there in automotive, and at least not apprenticeships, at least sponsorships. Computer networking and supply chain management are coming. We're applying for a $2 million workforce grant. We should know by mid-September if we received. If so, this is going to be a game changer for all of us. And by all of us, I mean the entire college, because we're going to be able to actually have the resources to provide those wraparound supports for students that really need it to be able to get them into the workforce. People that are first-generation college, people that are generational poverty, people that have the desire to do better, but not necessarily the skills or even to know what that means. And so that'll be a major thing for us. We're expanding our corporate training through welding, CNC, industrial readiness, the leadership work, IT, all of that. We're enhancing the capability to market through potential students and company partners. Dr. Quirk-Bailey mentioned the CRM today. That is going to be, and Corey's back there doing the heavy lifting on that. That's going to be a big deal for us to be able to CRM, customer relationship management tool. That means we're going to be able to track our work with companies, track our work with students, be able to see at a glance where they are in the process. It's going to be a game changer for us. Create a model for micro-credentialing and stackable credentials in CTE and IT programming is going to be huge, and continued community outreach and messaging for the commitment. What's our long-term goal? We need to provide the gap that you saw in the budgets, the declining revenues on the tuition, and we want to fill that. We want to fill the other side of that, whether it's through the grants, through tuition from that, for whatever funding resources. Workforce is going to be the arm that really wants to help drive those pieces through the corporate training, all of that. We want to show a measurable fill in the area workforce gap. This is the stuff that literally keeps me up at night. When you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't go back to sleep because you're thinking through things, it's the workforce gap that does that to me. Everybody has their own thing. That one's mine. We want to continue to be the state leader in workforce readiness programming. Just so you know, we are one of the state leaders in workforce readiness programming, so that's awesome. We want to continue to be that. We want to be more visible in that role. We also want to be the catalyst that changes people's lives by getting them the skills and education to get them into, we don't want to get them into jobs, we want to get them into careers that have that family-sustaining wage, but also the skills. When these jobs go away, all jobs go away at some point. We want to make sure that they have those skills to be able to make those transitions themselves. You know, there used to be jobs called word processors, and now we have word processors on our phones. We were able to make those people that used to be word processors, many of them were able to make that transition into something else, and we want to be able to help people provide those transitions too. So we understand that what we're training and educating people for now may not exist 10 years from now. We want to give them those skills to understand that and be able to do that themselves. So in closing, it's not just a slogan for us. This is what we do. We believe it, and we believe in the power of the college to transform this entire community. In workforce development, if any takeaway that you have from this entire thing, workforce development is not about workforce development division. It's about us as the college working together to make this happen. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Yes.
This is more like, is there any way we could, or I could get a copy of this? Because in some of my circles out in the outside world,
Sure.
people are really excited about this, like really, really excited. I'm in some homeschool, we homeschool, so I'm in,
Okay.
and they're just, crazy about this whole thing. It's being talked about constantly, just what ICC is doing. And I'd love to be able to provide more information, and I think,
I can
give
give
us
you-
a lot of information, but
Sure.
be able to kind of
I can get you,
rely on-
I can give you a copy of the presentation, and we actually have brochures and handouts on all of our programs. We'll get you a packet.
Yeah, because I was kind of looking on the website while you're talking, I'm like, well, that's not really what I want. I want
Sure.
some of this type of stuff, because they're just, I'm like, because I'm in the mom world, again,
Sure.
homeschooling, and they're just so excited about
Oh, good.
this whole process that
Well, we have-
ICC is doing.
We have stuff to share. If anyone else wants to share stuff, you
Yeah.
can, happy to share.
Yeah.
I'll just say before you put that out to everybody, the one slide that you showed, the students were in a lab environment, and there's no safety glasses, one had shorts on. That might throw up a flag to industry.
Thank you, Brian.
I didn't
Oh,
know
well,
if you saw that.
I didn't notice it. We'll swap the picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that somewhere in the middle-ish, I think, that you said that there was you were developing community core skills and.
Essential skills, yeah.
Are you looking to create kind of a local kind of community credential, like certificate or attainable something here, but not necessarily an industry credential or something that stacks into it or qualifies for it?
We're going to start with the local certificate. Now, we're working with Northern Illinois University and with Jobs for the Future. And my guess is that the reason that Jobs for the Future is out of Harvard, so it's like, well, Harvard working with ICC, yay! So my guess is that there's a whole, in their thinking, this is something they could take nationwide. And we're going to be the pilot for that, would be my guess. Even if that never happens, we're happy to have it for Central Illinois. And again, we're going to give it away for free. It's not a moneymaker on this. As a matter of fact, we're paying for this. So, but yeah, long term, that would be lovely to see it as a national recognized certificate, if that was your question.
Sort of.
Okay.
Because I always, so I'm in health careers, and
Okay.
one of my recruiting points is talking about non-accredited programs and useless pieces of paper. So I'm right up there with you and say nobody cares if you have a
Sure.
degree. If you don't have the professional credentials, you're not going to do anything like that.
Well,
so I was curious
no,
if
yeah.
given pieces of paper, if there was any
I
tips that stuff.
should have mentioned too, the businesses are at the table too.
Right.
So everyone involved. So it'll be, worst case scenario, it'll be a Central Illinois recognized certificate. The industry will have had input and buy-in, and they're part of that process. We have a big planning group, regional planning group going on right now that's been going on for several months, trying to get to that point. So worst case, we'll at least have the business. It's not showing up with my ICC certificate. It's like my certificate of completion, whatever. It'll actually have some weight to it. Yeah.
I just have a suggestion slash thought. I've been on the first semester experience team, and we've been talking a lot about those same experiences going into that first semester experience. But we've been using the other term that I'm not going to name, begins with an S, the soft skills.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know if it would be worth it, because that's another ICC program that's been dealing with that, and we're looking to scale that up to all ICC students at some point. So it might be worth.
I would hope at the table, at least all of the ICC essential skills programs would be present.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because, GED Bridge to College had one, which was different than the actual GED program, which was different than what you, so,
Let's not reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
Doing all this stuff.
yeah. And then have the ability to contextualize it, because first semester experience essential skills, you're going to need some things on there that aren't necessarily tied to the Workforce Investment Act.
Right. Some of those students may move into
Exactly.
these programs.
Exactly. But there's going to be so many commonalities.
Right.
Other things? Everyone look away and don't make eye contact. Okay, I guess we're done. All right, well, thank you very much for your attention today. I appreciate it. Thanks.